continue from text 28 onwards. Ete chamshakala pumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portion of Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on the planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheist. The Lord incarnates to protect the theist. So this is one of the very important and often quoted verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the unique position of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. And Vaishnava Acharyas have given very elaborate commentary or explanation of this particular verse. So Krishna is distinguished from all other incarnations in this particular verse. In fact, Srila Prabhupada or even Vaishnava Thakur and Sridhar Swami, they have given a lot of wonderful explanation about this particular verse. The avatars or incarnations are innumerable. Of course, we got only a small list of incarnations here in this particular section of Srimad Bhagavatam. But actually, there are innumerable incarnations, as we discussed last week. And Krishna is also counted amongst one of the incarnations, because incarnation or the word avatara means one who descends. So in the list, 20th incarnation was counted as Krishna and Balaram. So Krishna is also counted as one of the avatars. But this particular verse is making great emphasis and difference. Explaining Ete cha amsha kala pumsa. All these incarnations of the Lord, either they are amsha or kala. Amsha means part or portion, and kala means portion of the portion. So just like Lord Baladev, he is expansion of Krishna. An expansion of Baladev is Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And expansion of that Sankarshan is Narayan. So in one way you can say Narayan is the portion of the portion of Lord Krishna. So that is called, in this way, there is a difference between Kala and Amsha. Generally, avatar or the incarnation is referred as, there are of course different kinds of incarnation. There are 6 different categories of incarnations of the Lord. The Vishnu Thakurji explains that Narada, which was described also as one of the incarnations of the Lord here, Narada, or even the Narada and others, few others, they are actually regarded as incarnations. But Manu or Marichi, all the great sages like Jamadagni or Kashyapa, they are not incarnations of the Lord. Rather, they are called vibhutis of the Lord, like Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. And among the sages, among the learned poets, I am Ushna Kavi, that is Brihaspati, and among the guru of among the what do you call it, learners of the learned people who are actually very expert in the science of spirituality, I am Krishna says I am Shukracharya. So Shukracharya and Brihaspati or Marichi, they are all considered as Vibhuti. They are not considered as incarnations. And Narada or Jamadagni Putra, that is Parshuram, they are all considered as Avesha, or precisely Shaktya Avesha avatars. Means they are jivas, but the Lord has invested his potency in them. So his different portions or plenary portions or part of the plenary portions, or his differentiated portions directly or indirectly empowered by him, they descend to this material world for a specific purpose. The purpose, as Krishna explains in Gita, is Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glani Bhakti Bharat. Whenever there happens to be Dharmasya Glani, means the Dharma is destroyed and demoniac people trouble the world, or demoniac people's ideas trouble the world. Not just people, but sometimes the demonic ideas also trouble the world. Then the Lord sends, either he comes himself or he empowers some of the living entities to establish the principles of Dharma. The Lord is originally Krishna is actually full in 6 opulences. All the prowess, fame, beauty, Aishwarya, Samagrasya, Veerasya, Shasashriya, Jnana, Vairagya, knowledge and renunciation. He's full in all of that. But sometimes he exhibits only some of the opulences. In particular incarnation, Lord may not exhibit all the opulences in full. So, for example, when Lord appeared as Narsimha, the potency of destroying, the destructive potency, how even the most powerful demon can be destroyed, that potency was exhibited by the Lord. Or similarly, when the Lord appears as Guna avatars. For example, when he appears as Lord Brahma, then the potency is exhibited as only creative potency. Therefore, Bhagavatam says, Lord Brahma has brain that like of the Supreme Lord when it comes to create. So, when Brahma is able to create this whole creation, we should know that this is the potency because of the power bestowed upon Lord Brahma by Lord, the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is able to actually create. And examples are given here. Narada or Buddha, they created faith in the people. Lord Buddha, when he appeared, he actually created faith in the mass of people. Though the Vedic culture was prevalent, Lord Buddha said, Vedas are not to be accepted. So he created the faith in the people. Even though people were followers of the Vedas, they left Vedas and started following Lord Buddha. So in this way, Lord Buddha actually exhibited the power of creating faith in people. Lord Ramachandra and Dhanvantari, they displayed their fame. Balaram, Mohini, and Vaman, they exhibited their beauty. We know how Mohini Murti actually bewildered the demons by her beauty. Lord Balaram is also very famous for his extraordinary beauty. Dattatreya, Matsya, Kurma, and Kapila exhibited their transcendental knowledge. And Narnarayan Rishi exhibited their renunciation. So in this way, the different forms of the Lord, they exhibit the different opulences. But when Krishna, he appears, he exhibits complete features of the original Godhead. He actually exhibits all these opulences in fullness. Because he's the source of all the opulences and he's source of all the incarnations. And the most extraordinary feature exhibited by Krishna is his internal energy, you know, which is manifesting his beautiful pastimes. Especially, there are four attributes which are very much highlighted by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. They are uh, Rupa Madhuri, Penu Madhuri, Bhakta Madhuri, and Leela Madhuri. So four things which are extraordinarily sweet in Krishna is, first of all, his beauty. Krishna's beauty is such that not only he enchanted the gopis, not only enchanted practically every living entity within this creation, but even his expansion, Lord Mahavishnu, even he was attracted. He wanted to see the form of Krishna along with Arjun. So, therefore, he performed the pastime of uh, taking away all the sons of Brahmana in Dwarka. So, when Arjun was visiting Dwarka, this Brahmana came at the doorsteps of Ugrasen Maharaj, and he was cursing Maharaj Ugrasen that my children are dying because of, the king who is so uncontrolled and unrestricted in sense gratification. So Arjun promised that I will protect your children. And of course, Arjun couldn't, because it was Lord Mahavishnu who was stealing away all the children of Brahmana. So Arjun, when he was disappointed, he was about to quit his body by entering in the fire, as he had taken the oath before, this instance. He had promised Brahmana that if I cannot protect your child, then I'll enter into fire. So when he was ready to enter in fire, Krishna told him, no, you come with me. I will help you to retrieve all the children of this Brahmana. The same Brahmana who is criticizing you now, because Brahmana was heavily criticizing Arjun. He said, the same Brahmana who is criticizing us now will expand our fame. And then Krishna took Arjun outside of this universe. They went on a chariot penetrating the 7 layers of the universe. And beyond this material existence, they entered into Garbha ocean, Garbha Samudra. And there they saw the palace of Mahavishnu. And the Lord, along with Arjun, entered into that palace. And there Mahavishnu welcomed both of them. So in this way, even Mahavishnu was attracted, because Mahavishnu told Krishna and Balaram, Krishna and Arjun actually, that I stole these children of Brahmana simply because I wanted to see both of you here. I was so eager to see both of you. So Krishna's beauty is so unparalleled that even Mahavishnu, his own expansion, gets attracted to that form. So Krishna exhibited, the extraordinary beauty. And similarly, he exhibited extraordinary pastimes, Leela, with his devotees, who are also extraordinary. Bhakta Madhuri, and Krishna performs Leela Madhuri. His pastimes, especially in Vrindavan, they are so unparalleledly sweet. None of the other incarnation has exhibited such beautiful or sweet pastimes as Krishna has. And especially his pastime with the gopis, they are the manifestation of Krishna's internal potency. Although it appears to ordinary people or ordinary mundane vision, it appears to be like the sex affairs between man and woman, but that is not the case. The specific attraction, of his pastimes with gopis is something beyond the comprehension of ordinary mundane mind. One should never try to compare Krishna's pastime with ordinary mundane affairs between man and woman. So these pastimes of the Lord, they are described in 10th canto. And in order to, be able to relish those pastimes, one has to actually read the other 9 cantos very carefully. Because 10th canto is, Krishna's beautiful pastimes, and the first 9 cantos are preparation to be able to understand and relish those pastimes. One cannot relish Krishna's pastime until this is freed from the bodily concept of life. Freed, or in one way, a person has attained liberation. Till the time a person is liberated, cannot relish Krishna's pastime. Srila Prabhupada actually said, if you read the first 9 cantos, you will become liberated. And then you'll be able to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you'll be able to relish Krishna's pastime in the 10th canto. So this is actually a very crucial and important aspect. If we want to relish Krishna's pastime, we have to understand it first through reading 9 cantos, because those 9 cantos create or prepare a background for a person to be able to understand who Krishna is and appreciate Krishna's pastimes. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita also himself, Mataha paratram na anyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is no superior truth than me. And the same truth is being explained here in this particular verse that we're reading. So Krishna is the Samam Bona. He is the sum and substance. He is source of all the incarnations. And this is little technical, of course, but Krishna has expanded himself into many different different types of expansions. Krishna is himself called Swayam Rupa. So Krishna, Shyamsundar Krishna, who's playing on the flute, standing in a threefold bending form, that form of Krishna is called Swayam Rupa. But then there is Prakasha, Ekatma, Prabhav, Vaibhava, Vilas, Avatar, Avesh, and Jivas. These are all nothing but different expansions of Krishna. And all these incarnations, except the Jivas, are actually, Jivas are the Krishna's Vibhina Amshas. Other Swayam, Prakash, Ekatma, Prabhav, Vilas, Avataras, they are all called Krishna's, Swayam Rupa. Not Swayam Rupa, they are called actually Krishna's Swamsha. And Jivas are called Vibhina Amshas. Vibhina Amsha means separated part of Krishna. And Swamsha means the form which is non-different from Krishna. So all those forms of the Lord, they are called God. They all are Supreme Lord. And they are all non-different from Krishna. As Prabhupada said, Eko asti, dutiya nasti. God is one without a second. So there are no two gods. When you say Krishna, Balaram, Ram, Narsimha, Varha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Narayan, all these forms of the Lord, they are one and the same person. There are not two gods here, or many gods here. There's only one God. The same person, known by different names, because he exhibits different attributes. So, all these expansions or categories of the Lord, they possess certain percentage of his transcendental attributes. And this subject has been dealt in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami in a very technical way. So, that is explained by Rupa Goswami in terms of 64 qualities. So out of the 64 qualities, 4 qualities are exclusively only in Krishna and not to be found in any of his expansions. Other expansions of Krishna will have 60 qualities in full. Like Krishna has 64 qualities in full. They will have 60 qualities in full. But Lord Shiva, who is not the avatar of the Lord. He's of course considered Guna avatar, but he's not like Swamsha of the Lord. He comes in a different category itself. He's not Vibhana Amsha also, but he's not Swamsha also. So he's not avatar, he's not Avesha, but he's in between. So he's always superior to Avesha. So like for example, we'll see that Parshunam is considered Shakti Avesha avatar. So Parshunam will always be worshipping Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva is superior to him. So Avesha means is a Jiva Tattva. Jivas are always subordinate to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva comes in the Isha category, but he's not Avatara. He's not Swamsha of Lord Krishna. And he's not Vibhana Amsha either. So he possesses the 55 qualities of Krishna. Out of 64, Krishna possesses 64 and Narayan possesses only 60. And Lord Shiva possesses 55, which comes around 84% of the attributes. And Jivas possess only 50 qualities, but not in full, in minute quantity. So in this way, the Jivas have 78% of the attributes of Krishna in minute quantity. So this is the difference. This subject matter is actually very nicely and technically explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So most perfect living being Brahma, who is the administrator of the universe, he possesses 78% of attributes in full. And all these demigods, they have some attributes in less quantity. So demigods below Brahma, like Indra, Chandra, Surya, Vayu, Varuna, they all have attributes, but in less quantity. And human beings, we possess these attributes in a very minute quantity, with a teeny percentage of it. And the standard of perfection of human life is to develop the attributes up to 78% in full. That means all the 50 qualities which are possible for human beings to possess, develop them in full, which is possible only by performing devotional service. So living entity can never possess attributes like Lord Shiva or Vishnu or even Krishna. So none of those attributes can be possessed by the living entities. Living entity can become godly, but he can never become God. He can become godly by developing those 50 qualities, which is about 78%. And godly living beings who are residents of the planets in the spiritual sky, they are eternal associates of Krishna. And they live in the spiritual abode. They live in the spiritual planets called Haridham. And also Mahesh Dham. Mahesh Dham also is abode of Lord Shiva, where the Vaishnavas only live, who hear continuously day and night the pastimes of Lord Hari from the mouth of Lord Shiva. So in this way, the different categorization of different avatars and living entities is done in relationship to Krishna. But Krishna's abode is the above all the spiritual planets. The topmost spiritual planet is called Goloka Vrindavan. Now we should understand this point here. Spiritual sky is unlimited. Unlimited means there is no end to be found from any side. You go in any direction, you will never find any end in any direction. So what is the point of being topmost? Because you will never find an end. So what do you mean by when it says the Golok Vrindavan or Krishna's abode is the topmost planet? It's not that there is an end coming and here is the topmost and beyond that there is nothing. No. Spiritual sky is unlimited. One can never find end in any direction. So when we say Golok Vrindavan is the topmost planet in the spiritual sky, it topmost in the sense of rasa. It's not a physical topmost. It is in the terms of rasa. So one cannot find rasa superior to Golok Vrindavan anywhere. So this is the sum and substance. So Krishna lives in that Krishna Loka, in the Golok Vrindavan planet. And a living entity who actually perfects his life by developing the 50 qualities in full can enter into Golok Vrindavan. So Krishna is actually the Lord of Goloka. Now we go to text 29. Janmaguyam Bhagavato ya etad prayato naran sayam pratar ganan bhaktyam dukkha grama vimuchyate. Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is explained that anyone who knows the principles of transcendental birth and activity of Krishna, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, Evam Yogeti Tattvata. Krishna says, anyone who knows Tattvata, in reality who understands my birth and activities, what happens to him? Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti. After leaving this body, a person does not attain a rebirth. Punarjanma Naiti. One does not again have to take birth again in this world. Then what happens to him? Mameti. He comes to me. So simply by understanding Krishna's birth and activities in its sense as they are. Unfortunately, nowadays you find a lot of people, who without any authority speak all kinds of nonsense about the Supreme Lord. This is because it's Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, the irony of this age is that if you want to perfect any material science, you have to go through proper institute or education center. Like here, for example, in this country, everything or every profession you take has a branch of education. Even if somebody wants to, like in India, they say, become hajam or barber, even for that there are schools. If you want to actually become a professional, barber in this country, there are schools which teach you how to actually become a very good barber. But unfortunately, people think when it comes to subject matter of God, anyone can bluff anything. and it should be accepted. But that's not the fact. That's not the reality. One cannot learn any substantial truth about the Supreme Lord or the truth about the spirituality unless one learns it from the parampara system. So Krishna says, simply by knowing the mysteries of Krishna's birth and activities, one will become liberated from this material existence. It means it is not an easy thing to understand Krishna's birth and activities. So the birth and activities of Krishna are actually manifested in this world by Krishna. When he comes to this world to perform pastimes, those birth and activities are manifested simply for the benefit of human society, so that people can get to see Krishna's pastime. They don't have to speculate anything. They can see what Krishna is doing. Oh, here Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is taking the reins of the chariot of Arjun. He has become a chariot driver for Arjun. And not only that, Krishna has tremendous anxiety to make sure that Arjun is not killed on the battlefield. Arjun is not defeated. So in this way, Krishna's birth and activities can be visually seen by people in general. And that is the only reason why Krishna manifests his pastimes in this world, so that he can put an end to all kinds of speculation people may have about Krishna's birth and activities. And it is also advised that one who simply recites this chapter of Bhagavatam, describing the appearance of the Lord in different incarnations, in sincerity and devotion, can have insight into the birth and activity of the Lord. So if somebody wants to understand Krishna's birth and activities sincerely, then the person can understand that simply by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. This text 30. Etad rupam bhagavato hi arupasya chidatmanam maya guner virichitam mahadadi virana atmani. The conception of Virat Purush or universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to be enabled. It is to enable the less intelligent or neophyte to adjust the idea of Lord's having form. But actually, the Lord has no material form. So, this verse is a very significant statement made by the sages or the Sutta Goswami. He is making this statement to differentiate the universal form from the list of incarnation that was described. Sometimes the neophytes or people who are new to spiritual science, they think what Krishna showed to Arjun as a universal form on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, that form is ultimate. But here in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that form, the universal form of the Lord, is not even a spiritual form. Maya guner virachitam. This form of the Lord is Maya guner, created by Maya, which is Trigunatmai. So this universal form is a material form. Prabhupada would say often, this is more or less an imaginary form. That means there is no such form actually existing. Like we, in the Purusha Shukta prayers, we have this description of Virat Rupa. So it says, Brahmano samukham asit bahurajanya kritam urutadasya tadvaishyam pagyan shudro ajayatam. So it says, Brahmano samukham asit. The Brahmanas are like the mouth of this universal form. Bahurajanya, all the kings or administrative class is like his arms. Urutat Vaishya. The Vaishyas are like his belly. And Padyam Shudro Ajayat. The feet are the Shudras. Similarly, there are another prayer in the Pusha Shukta, another verse which says, the sun and moon, they are like the eyes of the Lord. Taksho Shuryo Ajayatam Mukhad Indrascha Agnischa Pranad Vayur Ajayatam. In his mouth of the universal form, there is Agni and Indra. And the prana is nothing but the deity called Vayu, the demigod called Vayu, is this prana. So in this way, this Vishwarupa is described. But there is no such form where you see the sun and moon become the eyes. It's an imaginary form. It's imagined. It doesn't really exist anywhere. So this Vishwarupa is not mentioned along with the various incarnations of the Lord because it is not a divine form. It is a material form. And because all the incarnations of the Lord, they were mentioned, they are transcendental. There is no tinge of materialism in those forms. So the forms which were described, the incarnations which were described, they are all transcendental. But the Virat Rupa is material form. And this form is conceived in the sense it is more or less thought of or imagined in the mind by the neophyte worshippers. So the descriptions are given in the scriptures simply to help a neophyte to imagine the form of the Lord. So this is actually a very important aspect. And Virat Rupa, the different manifestations of these planetary systems, they are described as the different limbs of this universal form. This will come in the second canto of Bhagavatam in the detail. But all these descriptions which are there in Bhagavatam, they are meant for neophytes. The neophytes, they cannot think of anything beyond the material elements, that is earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. They cannot think anything beyond that. So therefore, they are given the description to meditate the universal form of the Lord. So the conclusion is that material conception of body of the Lord as Virat is imaginary. Both the Lord and the living beings are spiritual entities and have original spiritual bodies. Every living entity has a spiritual body. So I think this is the sum and substance of these three verses that we discussed today. We'll stop here. If anyone has any questions, may I ask.